With Hashem's loving grace, we welcome you to Emunah Beams, your channel of faith and inspiration, broadcasting from the beautiful southern coast of the Holy Land of Israel with your host, Rabbi Lazer Brody. Is it really for the best? That's the question people ask. Is everything Hashem's doing, the good and the seemingly otherwise, is it all really for the best? And he asked me, come on, Lazer, you tell people this all the time just to make them feel better? Well, I admit I love to make people feel better, but it is true. Everything Hashem does for the best. I just heard a beautiful story from Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein. He's the rabbi of Ramat El Hanan, and he's got a very important brother-in-law. He himself is an important Rav, one of our most important Rebbeim in this generation. But he's got an important brother-in-law, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, because both Rabbi Zilberstein and Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky are married to the daughters of Rabbi Elyashiv of blessed and saintly memory. Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky told his brother-in-law, Rabbi Yitzchak, an amazing story about a young koilo guy who got a parking ticket. And this koilo guy lived in Bnei Brak, and he went all the way in his car, his old jalopy. He went up to Tiberias to visit his father and to fulfill the mitzvah of honoring his elderly father. And as he performed this mitzvah, he parked his car in front of his father's house, and he didn't see there's a new parking limitation. Comes along a cop and sees him parking in a no parking zone, but she didn't realize he was in a no parking zone, and gave the guy a tremendous ticket. The ticket cost about something like 400 shekels, a ridiculously expensive ticket, and all the guy gets is about 2,200 shekels a month from the koilo. So he came to Rabbi Kanievsky. He's all upset. He couldn't understand Hashem. Here I am doing a mitzvah, honoring my parents, going halfway across the country, all the way up north, and for this, the reward I get a parking ticket? Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, he told the young man, he said, you listen, you will see very soon that Hashem does everything for the best. And this was Rabbi Kanievsky's words. You will see very soon. A day or two passed, and he got a summons to a court case. What's a summons to a court case? He had this crazy neighbor that all the time said lies to him, and the neighbor went to the police, and the neighbor said that he broke in, the koilo guy tried to break and enter his house and this and that, and he was called into police station. Then they accused him of stealing, and they called him into court. They said, such and such a day, here's the accusation. It was written the accusation that you broke into this man's house, your neighbor's house, and you stole from him. And what was the day? He says, I could prove that I didn't do that. On the day that you're accusing me, I went to Tiberias to visit my parents. He said, what do you mean? Well, anybody can say an alibi who you have somebody that saw you. He said, look, my car. So what? He remembered he had this parking ticket. So he brought out the parking ticket. He says, look, I was parked at this time in this place in Tiberias, and I even got a parking ticket. He had a parking ticket to show the judge. Well, the judge says, well, maybe, it could be someone took your car and you weren't there. He says, well, look, there's the signature of the policeman that gave me the ticket. And I argued with the policeman about giving me the ticket. He said, well, the court summoned the policeman, and the policeman came, and the policeman testified that the koilo guy truly was in Tiberias, and he gave him the ticket. And yes, he argued with him. He said he tried to cancel the ticket because he's a koilo guy, didn't make much. No, policeman said, I refused to cancel the ticket. He was parked illegally, and he's going to pay the ticket. So there it was. Not only did the judge throw the case out of court because it was a total lie, but he said, if this harassing neighbor tries to harass you again, ahead of time, I'm going to throw it all out of court. Now, the neighbor was charged with an illegal case and libel, and the court made him pay a fine of 50,000 shekels to the koilo guy. Now, if the koilo guy didn't have that parking ticket, and he'd be falsely accused, he'd have to take legal assistance. Legal assistance in a criminal case, it's right away a 25,000 shekel retainer in Israel. And for every hour, a criminal court attorney, he's going to take 6, 7, 800 shekels an hour plus value-added tax, which is another 17%. In no time, he's going to spend 50,000 shekels. So look what Hashem did. rather than making him spend 50,000 shekels to defend himself, that maybe he wouldn't convince the court, he could have been accused, he was rewarded 50,000 shekels. And something that looked so terrible, getting this parking ticket, it was the best thing that would happen to this guy, because not only was an alibi, but it got this harassing neighbor off his back. He'd suffered a long time for this harassing neighbor. And here you can see everything Hashem does is truly for the best. Now, even though we don't see right away that Hashem does everything for the best, that doesn't mean that it's not for the best. It truly is. So the answer to our question, is it really for the best? It sure is, beloved brothers and sisters. And don't ever forget it, because maybe you won't see it as fast as the Koilo guy saw it from Bnei Brak, but you will see it eventually. Because when we don't understand something and we can't process it intellectually or logically, well, you know what? Where intellect and logic leave off, that's where emunah begins. Don't ever forget that. What we don't see, we don't understand. It's great that we don't understand. We don't understand a thing. But that's where logic ends and emunah picks up. Because we don't need emunah for what we understand, for what we see. We do need emunah for what we don't see. Even if we see something that's seemingly painful or seemingly bad, we know that Hashem is a loving Father in heaven, and He's all the time doing the very best for us. Don't ever forget that Hashem loves you, and Hashem's a loving Father, and a loving Father that loves you, wants the best for you, and everything He does is always going to be for the best. So take that with you. Have a wonderful day, and God bless always.